What up, everyone? So, I wanted to do a quick little video, more Marvel vs. Capcom info, and do a quick little discussion about characters. Now, I wanted to do a more in-depth video later on about which characters I'm pretty sure are going to make it in, which characters aren't, based on educated guesses. I know a million people have done it, but I want to do it too, because like I said, you don't have to watch this video. This is more just for me. I want to talk about it, so if you want to listen, cool. No worries. Anyway, we haven't gotten any info in a little while, and I'm sure we won't for a while. They're going to drip feed us information for the next year, and if I had to guess, just like it was with the last game, we're probably going to get one thing a month. They'll release characters 2 at a time, obviously, because they'll always do one Marvel and one Capcom, if not more than that, but it'll be in increments of 2, because sometimes before, we would get 4 characters at a time, just like with the release trailers, so it'll probably be once a month though. We'll probably get one short little gameplay video or possibly a trailer if it's a big character, introducing 2 or 4 new characters a month. So we should be due for some info pretty soon, but the first reveal after the initial trailers, usually always a big gap, so I want to do little videos like this and just kind of keep the ball rolling, make sure we still have momentum and still do small videos. The topic I want to talk about is X-Men and Fantastic Four characters in the video game. This has been a very hot discussion topic, and so many people are dead set on something, and I don't think they really thought about it. So the whole theory is, and it is a theory, that X-Men and Fantastic Four characters will not be appearing in Marvel vs. Capcom. And the funny thing is, that's just a rumor. They have not confirmed anything. The trailer did not talk about it whatsoever. People are treating it like it's fact, but it's not a fact. That's just a rumor. That's just a rumor that's been going around, and there's really no evidence to support that. And that's what I want to talk about, and I kind of want to prove that without a reasonable doubt that they most likely will be appearing in it. Obviously, I can't be 100% because I don't have a written word from Marvel and Capcom saying it, but I'm almost positive and willing to honestly bet money that they will be in the game in some form or another. Now, what evidence do I have? So, first of all, people are saying that they can't put them in the game, that Marvel cannot put them in the game, neither can Capcom. That's not true. That is straight bullshit, and that's not even fact. The fact of the matter is that Fox owns the production rights to the X-Men universe, and also for Fantastic Four. But that's it. People don't realize that Marvel Productions, or Marvel Studios and Marvel Entertainment, I think that's what they're called, are two separate things. So, I learned a lot about copyright in school, so that's how I know a lot about this. There's different forms of copyright law. Just because they sell the rights to a character doesn't mean that everything goes with it. All that Fox has is the production rights. That means they can make movies with those characters and characters from that universe. That's it. That's all they have. They don't have toy rights, they don't have game rights, they have nothing else to it. So you're wondering that why we haven't seen things from that company like toys and stuff like that. It's because Marvel/Disney still owns the rights to it. Back when I did a review of X-Men Age of Apocalypse, I said in the video that it was funny there was no promotion, no merchandising for that movie. There was no t-shirts, there was no toys, there was no pop figures, action figures, dolls, nothing for that movie. And the reason for that is because Marvel made the conscious decision not to support those movies. So they did not give Fox the rights to produce toys, clothing, all that shit because they didn't want to give support to them. They want them to fail so they get the rights back. It's the same situation with video games. Marvel can do whatever the fuck they want with their own characters. They just typically don't because they're inadvertently supporting another company that they don't want to support. It's not that they hate Fox, they just literally want them to fail so the rights get reverted back to them. Now, so many people realize the Fantastic Four movie, the recent one, was total shit. But the funny thing about it is, which most people don't know, is that Fox knew that movie was going to be shit. They made it that way. They didn't make it bad on purpose, but they purposely did not put that much effort into it. How production rights work is what their contract states is that Fox has to make a movie with those characters every, I think it's 5 years. I'm not sure on that, it's like 5 or 6 years. If they don't make a movie within that 5 or 6 year period, the contract is revoked and they lose the rights to those characters. That's how it worked. And Fox was up against the wall, so they had to make that movie. They had no choice in it. So for the purpose strictly of keeping the rights, they just made a movie. You can read up on the articles saying that they planned to have a high budget movie, but they actually took back a bunch of the budget and a bunch of things that would have made the movie good on purpose, because they didn't think it was going to do good, but they knew they had to make a movie. So they just did it for the purpose of making a movie just to keep the production rights. And there's articles stating about that if you actually want to do the research. That's why they made the movie. And it's not that they purposely made a shit movie. It's that they didn't care whether it did well or not. It still made the money back. People still went and saw it. Whether it got good reviews or not doesn't matter. They made money and they kept the rights. Done deal. That's all they could care about. They don't care about anything else. So they kept the rights to it. And that's how production rights work. So, back to the video games. Marvel can put all kinds of characters in their games, and there's evidence of that. There was a recent phone game, I forget what it's called, some Marvel Universe thing, that had X-Men characters in it. And Marvel vs. Capcom 3, people are totally forgetting, it was the same situation back then. Marvel and Disney and Marvel merged back in 2008. So when they made Marvel vs. Capcom, that's when they started making Marvel vs. Capcom. When it was released in 2011, it was the same situation. Fox still had the rights to them, but all the X-Men characters appeared in it. And there's interviews that I read up on with Seth Killian, because he was still working with the company back then, and he explained why. And what the story was that it was the same situation. Marvel didn't want X-Men characters in it because they didn't want to promote Fox. They want their movies to fail. But Seth Killian personally and other people in the company fought and fought and fought, and they eventually gave way and let a few X-Men characters in. And I guarantee it's going to be the exact same situation. Because at the end of the day, Marvel still wants their games to do well. And the most common question asked of people is, do you think it's going to be okay that X-Men isn't in it? It's like, well, the game's not going to fail if they're not in it, but it would be a big hit, and a lot of people would be disappointed. And I think it wouldn't be a smart move for Marvel to not put them in. So they can put versions of each X-Men or Fantastic Four character in there that are different from the movie so as not to promote movies, but still put them in. And I think that's what they're going to do. So what they talked about in interviews is that this is going to focus on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, also that it's going to have a very in-depth story mode. So what I took that as is that the main story mode is going to be all MCU characters. The story behind it is going to be all MCU, and the whole rumor behind it is that X-Men and Fantastic Four will appear, but as DLC. And you can't prove that, but it comes from very credible sources. The same person that leaked that the game was coming out, who is a very credible source, said the same thing. So it's pretty wise to trust in him, because this person hasn't been wrong as anything he's leaked before, and he has leaked a lot of information. So, and that makes sense, because if they make the game, the whole story mode is going to be about the MCU and those characters in Capcom, and then later on, there's going to be DLC, or just later on added into the game, X-Men and Fantastic Four characters that just don't have anything to do with the story mode. They're just going to be playable, and that's it. So the story in the game is still going to be focused on the MCU, and X-Men and Fantastic Four will just appear. How many of them, how much of it, we don't know. We have no idea. Everyone hopes tons, but I think it's safe to say, like, Wolverine, I would be shocked if he didn't show up. Wolverine and probably Doctor Doom are the two where I'd say I'd be pretty shocked if they didn't at least appear. Past that, I don't know. It could be just those two. It could be a whole release of a bunch of characters. It just depends. There's so much that you have to consider when you think about it. There's so much that you have to think about, like, in terms of what they want to promote and what they don't want to promote. They don't want to promote Fox's movies, but they still want a character. So there's a whole thing there that takes into consideration. So it's almost impossible to say who will make it in. Also, more evidence that they would be in. During PlayStation Experience, which was right up the street from me, by the way. It was only about an hour away from me. So I know people that went there, and I know people that talked to them. And there's interviews with, like, Maximilian, who actually talked to Marvel consultants there, that were there to talk to people, which has never happened before. Usually they're very hush-hush about it, but there were there people in the audience from Marvel, from Capcom, talking to people, and there were interviews done. And the number one question that was asked is, will X-Men and Fantastic Four characters be in there? And they obviously couldn't say, but it was said repeatedly from different sources that worked at the company. Either they said, in quotes, don't worry, and one person actually went as far to say as that, I'm trying to think of the direct quote, that heritage will not be lost. They said, don't worry, heritage will not be lost. And there was one other quote that said, they didn't say yes, but they said, don't worry about it. So why would they say that if they weren't confirmed? If they definitely weren't going to be in it, they would deconfirm it, honestly. And that's why I think there's so many sources and so many interviews out there that I've done research on, that I've talked to people personally, that can't actually confirm it, but have said things along the lines of, hey, don't worry about it, you don't have to be concerned, and which inadvertently means they shall make an appearance in some form. So, that was a really long rant, and I do have a lot of sources for this. I just don't want to bore you guys with every little tidbit here and there. But if you guys have questions about it, I'm more than happy to share articles or share interviews in the description or something like that about it. But that's the information I have, and based on those things, it just seems extremely likely that they will make an appearance. So the whole fact that people are saying they won't be in there is strictly rumor. There's been no evidence that says that they won't be in there. In fact, the past few Marvel games have had X-Men characters, including Marvel vs. Capcom 3, so there's no reason why there wouldn't be again. Marvel didn't want to promote X-Men movies back then, but they still made an appearance. I think it's different enough to have Wolverine in the comic form versus like the Logan movie. I think it's different enough where they won't promote each other, but that's just me. So to sum up this whole thing, I'm saying, don't worry, you guys. Those people doing character speculation videos, I think it's okay to put some X-Men characters and some Fantastic Four characters in there. I think it's safe to say that they shall be in there. Whether that rumor's true and they will be DLC or they will be part of the game, we don't know for sure. Only time will tell. But I'm literally willing to bet money on it that they will be in there. And I'm posting this video, so if I'm totally wrong, you can come back and shame me here and say, what an asshole, you were totally wrong. And I'm okay with that. So there, take it at that. If someone wants to place a bet, let's do it. Throw money on the table. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. Let's get the discussion going. Talk about it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Am I fucking crazy and am I just making shit up and I'm totally wrong about this? Sure, let me have it. Or if you agree that shit that I said makes sense, there are people that back it up, and there are leaks around there from credible sources that do say that. So let me know your opinion. Let's talk about it. So that's what I want to talk about. Let's get the discussion going. Let's get some more people in here talking about this, because I like to talk about it. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. I'll see you on the next MVC video and more unboxings. Love you all. Peace.